This episode of my so-called podcast takes you back to January 15th, 1996.
We're going to discuss Boys for Pele from Tori Amos and Welcome to the Dollhouse from director Todd Solondz.
Hey, welcome to another episode of my so-called podcast. I'm Eric Spiegel.
And I'm Gary Linton.
This is Amanda Clark.
Hey, Amanda. How you doing?
I'm good.
This week we'll be talking about Tori Amos.
That's right.
Boys for Pele, and Welcome to the Dollhouse, which was at the Sundance Film Festival.
That's right. It's premiered on January 15th, 1996. And Boys for Pele came out January 22nd, 1996.
And this week we're blessed with a guest that's an Amos head.
Oh, yeah? Amos head?
I don't think that's a thing, but yeah.
I tried to make a fish head into a thing.
Right.
But that's not. It's a fan.
Fans, yeah, with the
Tori
PH.
Files, actually, with a PH.
Oh, okay.
Is that right?
Tori File. Mm-hmm.
All right. So I always mess it up if there's a PH.
Famous
involved.
Amoses?
Nope.
Yeah, famous Amos. But anyway.
With a PH.
Ears with Feet was also a name for people that were obsessed with
What about Why Can't Tori Read? Is
Or,
that a...
Oh.
Cornflake
That's
Girls?
good stuff.
That's a deep cut.
Raisin Girls are actually the better of the
Oh,
two.
right.
But she never was a cornflake girl.
That's right. She
Yeah.
wasn't.
No,
No.
that's the point.
Never was. So... what we like to do is sort of set the stage of what was going on, Amanda.
Yeah, we want to get the listener in the headspace of 1996.
So, you were saying before we went on air, 96, January, that all of a sudden just brings up some memories already
Don't play with that.
for you. Oh, sorry, that Rubik's Cube is...
Yeah, don't do that.
But 80s nostalgia is pretty hot, Gary.
That's true.
Listen to this Rubik's Cube.
Yeah.
It's a pretty satisfying sound.
The MSR people would love that, but, you know.
It reminds you of your transformation from a cassette tape person to a CD person. Is that what 96 brings up for you?
Well, I was heavily into cassettes in 96, as were all of the boyfriends. The boyfriends, protesting love through the tapes. I was very much that girl.
It's not the same as sharing a Spotify playlist.
No.
It takes a lot of effort to make a mixtape.
Yes.
You got to be there every 3 minutes.
It took a lot of effort to burn those CDs also, which is...
about, I would say, 25% the effort of a
Yeah.
mixtape.
Right.
And then the Spotify playlist is 25% of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And with the Spotify playlist, you can't decorate it. You can't do little art
It's not a
things.
physical thing.
Yeah.
Right.
So the tapes had...
Yeah.
I have one left.
Mm-hmm.
I have one left tucked away somewhere.
I might have mentioned this on the show, but I had one that friend of the show, Alicia Spiegel, made for me on a road trip. I was going on a road trip. She made me listen to this on your road trip playlist. But she must have gotten distracted like 5 songs in, because it was like all this different stuff. Natalie Merchant and, I don't know, Edie Brickell and this and that. Then all of a sudden it was Louis Armstrong, which is like, okay. And then it was Louis Armstrong. And then it was Louis Armstrong.
Just Louis Armstrong.
And it was Louis Armstrong. And it's funny, every time it would be like, oh, okay, this is pretty Louis heavy. And then another Louis Armstrong. So,
And postscript to that story is that Alicia doesn't even like Louis Armstrong. So
somebody else hijacked the...
it was a Louis Armstrong tape that she started to record over.
No. It was, I think she wanted to put, like, What a Wonderful World on there or something, and then it was like, and here's the rest of this side A.
Wait, he has other
All
songs?
Louis, yeah, he does.
Oh.
Anyway, so, 96.
96. We were graduating high school in 96.
That's what I was doing. Yeah, I was a semester away from graduate. I just came from my nephew's 18th birthday, and he's only a couple months away from graduating from high school, so I'm old.
Yep, yeah.
I was a junior. I didn't graduate till 97, so 96 I'm really coming into my own as an adult.
Yeah, the second half of 11th grade.
Mm-hmm.
That's when you come
that's
into your own.
That's when you peak.
That's your peak. Yeah, it's been a long decline since then. So what we do to get into the 96 spirit is to do some trivia questions from 96. And the way we do it is Gary and I are pitted against each other in a fight to the death, trivia-wise.
Like gladiators.
Yeah. Just imagine Joaquin Phoenix watching us.
I always do.
On high above.
I always do.
Is that why I'm wearing this shield?
Yep.
It's the blood spray? Okay.
Yeah, watch out.
Now it makes sense.
You're going to get blood all over you.
Trivia blood.
Gary's at 4, I'm at 3, so whoever gets to 21st wins. Then that person owes them a steak.
Oh.
Why, Gary?
Because when we did it at first, there weren't any stakes to the game.
Like, who cares?
We needed to add some stakes.
Is the steak going to be cooked? Do you want him to cook the other one a steak or
so
buy
Eric's
another
the
one
only one that we've completed 3 rounds. Eric's the only one who paid up once. He did cook the steak. It was delicious. Right? I don't think you heard that.
It was delicious.
Yes.
I made a lot of steaks. There's a picture online.
And then Eric won. No, then I won the next one.
Then
and
I
Eric
won the
hasn't
next
paid
one.
up.
We both owe each other steaks at this point. Anyway, so when the guest comes on, you get to have fun on both sides because you can answer both sides. But I can choose to ignore or use your information, as can Gary. So you're the constant answerer.
Okay, let's do it.
And since, Gary, you're winning, you should ask me first.
Eric, I don't have any very good questions on this card that you gave me.
Well, that's how the cookie crumbles.
You gave me the card, yep. What depraved cartoon pair hallucinate in their film debut a backwards recording of the phrase, "Everybody go to college, study hard"?
I'm going to go with Beavis and Butthead.
Yep, that's correct. Let's hear that a little louder. All right.
Excellent. So that's a point for me. Gary, what was the first company to offer a DVD player for sale in the U.S.?
I want to guess Sony. Do you have a guess?
I'm going to go with Sony.
Yeah, let's go with Sony. All right.
That's right.
Excellent.
That's 2 for 2.
All right. I'm going to ask you, what kid-friendly web directory did Yahoo launch in 1996?
Kid hole. Hang on. Yahoo Kids. How about that?
Yeah.
You like that?
No.
No.
Is it Kid Hole?
No, it's Yahooligans.
Oh, I remember Yahoo.
Yeah, I remember that too.
Man.
I don't think I had the internet yet.
Oh, in 96?
Mm-hmm.
Well, Yahooligans was definitely lasted later. So I don't think I knew it in 96. But
Yeah. My first email address was when I went to college that fall.
We'll talk
but
about
I
that.
did have the internet before then. It was 14400 baud internet.
Oh, yeah. I like in Welcome
download
to
a picture
Dollhouse.
in less than a minute.
Well, we'll talk about it in the second half of Welcome to Dollhouse. His girlfriend's getting hooked up to email.
What serial killer
Ooh, Tony the Tiger
said he'd been able to share Christ with folks who deluged him with letters after he was interviewed on Inside Edition?
Oh, you know who? I think it's Charles Manson. Do you have a guess?
No.
Yeah, let's go with Chucky M.
When in doubt.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's go with Charles Manson.
Oh.
David
Okay.
Berkowitz. Son of Sam.
Son of Sam.
Sorry.
What is going on? Okay. I got your question for you.
Engineer Gary?
Yeah, we are.
Good.
My question to you is... We'll do this one. What U.S. Senator defended his claim that smoking wasn't addictive by noting, "We know it's not good for kids. Some would say milk's not good." It's a U.S. Senator defended his claim about.
Who was that really old senator that was around?
Strom
Thurmond. Let's go with him. Strom.
That is not correct. No, that's
Man, that's a good guess, though.
It was a
Fun to
good
say
guess.
his name.
Yeah, it was. Bob Dole said that.
Bob Dole.
Yeah.
Man, Republican candidates are always terrible. Like, you keep thinking, like, Bush 2 was fine, or Dole was okay. No,
no.
They were never okay.
Right.
God.
Right.
Son of a bitch. You want another question, Gary?
Yeah, I guess so.
What NFL coach retired with a regular season 328, 156, and 6 record?
In 96, you know anything about football?
No.
No? Okay.
Unless it's Tennessee.
I want to go with the 49ers coach. What was his name? Who went to Joe Montana. He coached Joe Montana. I don't have his name, but he's my guess.
Okay. That question sucks.
Yep.
And it isn't a part of our podcast universe.
Sure.
So I'm just going to skip to a better one.
I like that idea.
Excellent.
What hot fad was Japanese for cute little egg?
Oh, yeah. What is it? Tamagotchi. All right.
That's right.
Yeah, that was
Tamagotchi.
What was the football coach's name?
Don Shula.
Oh, no, that was the Miami Dolphins coach.
Yeah, I totally don't care.
Okay.
So that I shouldn't have asked that question.
Yeah, that's
I
done with
don't
trivia.
care.
You want that?
Yeah. So now you're pulling ahead, Gary. Now it's 6-4.
All right.
You're
Excellent.
on your way to double steaks.
I'm gonna put a steak on top of a steak.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna eat it.
No cheese?
Sure.
No bread?
You talked me into it.
Okay. That sounds delicious.
Yeah.
Don't get too hungry yet, because I'm coming back next
That's
week.
okay. I won't ever get too hungry because I'm a white male American.
No, you'll never be hungry enough. You'll never stop.
That's right. I'll just consume all I can.
That's what keeps this country going.
That's right.
Is everybody consuming all the time. And if we stop, everyone loses their shit.
Earth's gonna stop spinning. What we're gonna do now, I'm gonna give you the top 10 singles that Tori Amos was like, yeah, that's what I'm competing with.
She's like, I'm releasing my 3rd album. I'm going to produce it myself in Ireland and New Orleans. And it's basically going to be a bunch of pop songs.
Exactly.
That are crack
I want to
the top
compete
10.
with Everything But the Girl.
Hey, Everything But the Girl's cool.
Deep Blue Something.
Okay.
Let's get to these singles. Number 10 is Missing by Everything But the Girl.
That's a good song.
Yeah.
And a good band.
Well, yeah. Number 9, no comment. Name by the Goo Goo Dolls. We talked about the Goo Goo Dolls.
I think Tori Amos would like this.
Yeah.
No, I called her up and she said she didn't.
Okay, she's much more likely to like this than the Goo Goo Dolls.
Well,
Fair.
I don't know. She did, she's done some rock covers.
Yeah.
Not that the Goo Goo Dolls
she
are
did a whole
rock.
album of rock.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but she likes like really depressed or dark rock.
Yeah.
She likes
what
Nine
about-
Inch Nails. She likes
She doesn't
Nirvana.
like that? I think she does like. She likes Nirvana.
She's
She
done a lot with
name
Reznor.
drops
Yeah, and
Pretty
he
Hate
sings-
Machine.
He sings on the stuff. I'm just.
And there's that.
She does a cover of a Nirvana song. But she doesn't like the Goo Goo Dolls, is all I'm saying.
Black Balloon is a pretty depressing song.
No, it isn't.
It's a black balloon.
No, it's the color of the balloon is black.
Number 8. Before You Walk Out of My Life Slash, Like This and Like That, Monica. Was that 2 songs from one?
So one of the knocks on my so-called podcast is that Gary and I don't know a whole lot about
90s hip-hop.
rhythm and blues and hip-hop. And we've tried to correct that with our Most Def episode and our
Wu-Tang
episode.
Boyz II Men.
Yeah, but we haven't done a Monica episode
We
yet.
did TLC.
Yeah. Ooh, on the TLC tip.
That wasn't the album that we did, though.
No.
No.
But
Number 7 was Fantasy by Mariah Carey.
that's one of my favorite Mimi songs.
Yeah.
I love Fantasy. I like Fantasy, and I like
Sci-fi.
Always Be My Baby.
I
Those are my
thought she
two.
just had genre. She just had songs about...
Fantasy, sci-fi,
Yeah.
murder, mystery,
Exactly. True crime.
drama. Did you like that
I
drama
love
one?
the drama.
Comedy.
Then there was that Mary J. Blige No More drama.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Oh, that's when she was throwing down with Mimi.
All right, so that's
Wait.
Fantasy. Mhm.
We aren't to the part. Here we are. Who doesn't like this?
I don't know.
There's nothing this catchy on the
Right,
radio
there's
right
not.
now.
All right, number 6 was Breakfast at Tiffany's by Deep Blue Something.
Best song.
Yeah. Number 5.
What's your thought on Deep Blue Something?
I have no thoughts on Deep Blue Something, but that song was fantastic.
Oh, okay.
It's one of those.
I mean, it was
things
the
that-
first couple of times, but then it got played too much, and it was like, I'm done with
So
Breakfast at
many
Tiffany's.
times.
Maybe Amanda doesn't listen to the radio.
Yeah, that's...
I did then, and yes, it was on all the
Yeah,
time.
everybody listened to the radio back then. Everybody. Number 5 was Digging on You by TLC.
On the
Yep.
TLC tip.
Number 4 was Gangsta's Paradise, Coolio featuring LV.
Do you want to tell me what this is all about?
No. Number 3 was Hey Lover by Cool James, and the ladies love him. LL Cool J, that's what I'm trying to say.
Is it Hey? Oh yeah, that's LL Cool J and Boyz II Men.
It's just credited as LL Cool J. You know LL is not going to give Boyz II Men credit.
Spotify does.
Yeah. All right. It's more than a crush.
It was Harlem at the Ruckers. I saw you with your man, smiling, a Coach bag in your hand. I was laying.
Oh, don't call it a comeback. Don't
I remember
ever
the
call
song,
it a
but now I
comeback.
want to know
Yeah.
it.
Don't call it a comeback because it actually wasn't.
He was still around, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, what was the one that came out like a little bit after that for him that was his comeback? I mean, not Mama Said Knock You Out, which was
I don't
the
remember.
early 90s.
Right. I don't remember.
Okay.
Number 2 was Exhale, Shoop Shoop by Whitney Houston.
Right.
From the Waiting to
Exhale soundtrack.
Yep. And number 1 that week, shooting up the charts, was One Sweet Day by
Ooh.
Mariah Carey and Boyz II Men.
The ubiquitous Mariah Carey and Boyz
Boyz
II
II
Men
Men,
from
yeah,
the top
they're all
10.
over the place.
Can't hold them down.
So that's what Tori Amos was...
She was like, I could do this, but with a harpsichord.
right. I think we got mixed up somewhere, Eric, because you're going to give the Either Or album, but I think you gave the Either Or album in the last episode.
Well, I'm sure our many careful listeners will
Yep.
let us know that we messed that up, Gary.
Can we take a break while I cry about my high school boyfriend? That song made me sad.
Yeah.
Did he die in
Yeah,
a
we
car
could do
accident?
that.
No, it just triggered that I think I listened to this sad. Yeah. All right, we're good.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't want to cut that emotion off too soon.
Right, that could be lethal to cut that emotion
We'll
off.
save some of it for the Tory stuff.
Right.
Yeah, it'll come out there.
Funny thing is, well, those would be different emotions, though, because this album isn't going to engender any kind of good
Would you say
feelings
it's
about
a-
boys.
Sweet emotion.
Yeah, you know, it's funny because, well,
What? Yeah, what's funny about it?
Well, we think of the, 92 as being the big birth of grunge, and then, it was such a powerhouse through the mid-90s and everything. But then you look at this top 10, and again...
No grunge.
Not even any rock and roll. I mean, Deep Blue Something.
Right, well, Goo Goo Dolls.
Yeah, so neither of those bands count as rock and roll.
You're not,
and they're not, but they're not rock and roll songs.
Right.
I mean, Name was the one ballad on A Boy Named Goo.
Yeah,
the rest of their songs were rock songs. Anyway, I'm just saying, grunge was a powerhouse, but it didn't take over the world.
In our world, it was a powerhouse.
Yeah. So, Gary?
Yeah, it's saying you have the Either Or album.
Oh, okay.
But,
well, you just did the top 10 songs.
Right.
That makes sense.
Right, but I'm pretty sure I did Either Or album, Either Or movie last week, but it doesn't matter.
So anyway, Amanda, we like to start the conversation about the album with a question in the Either Or format. It's our thing. And as a guest, you can either ask...
Nobody ever asks.
Or answer the Either Or you can just make me ask Gary like always.
I don't think we should give our guests that chance.
Okay, so you can either ask or answer the Either Or.
I'm totally going to answer.
Okay. All right. So, Tori Amos comes out in 1992 with her debut album, if you don't count Why Can't Tori Read, which most people don't, with Little Earthquakes.
Those people are wrong.
It wasn't a huge instant success, but it definitely was a success in a lot of ways, in that it built and built and built, and then Under the Pink comes out 2 years later. Also a big hit, but in that slow, kind of churning way, that people kept kind of getting on the bandwagon week after week after week. And then this album comes out, and in a lot of ways it's a different album, because she's gotten rid of her... I want to say husband, fiance, collaborator.
Boyfriend. It was her, yeah.
Boyfriend, collaborator, producer, and started producing the record herself. She's made a twist in her life to be a little bit more exploring what it means to be a woman, feminist, etc., even though she was already quite a feminist. But, exploring what men mean to her in general in a different way. But another big way that this was a big difference was with the previous two albums had coalesced into making her quite a star at this point. So whenever she releases the first new Tori album in 2 years, it's a big deal, and this is a big hit album just right out of the gate. So either this album is a worthy successor, the third album that everybody wanted, including you, or... a little bit of a misstep in her career, which a lot of critics said at the time she needed to right the ship a little. It was a little overindulgent. Which side of that coin do you fall on?
Oh, I fall into the second one. But no, the first one. I think initially I would have fallen into that second thing and like, oh, this is crazy. But as I grew as a Tori fan and was surrounded by Tori fans, it kind of became a badge of, if you met someone and they said, oh, I love Tori Amos, you would be like, well, what do you think about Boys for Pele? And if they said, nope, I was done then I would be done. The conversation would be done. Because it was such a leap that if you could hang with Boys for Pele, then you really got what she was doing.
So did you buy this right away?
Yes and no. It was it took me, I would say, a year to really get it. It was the first album that I had to get. I had to really get into it and just get deeper and deeper and deeper. As being 16, 17, then it was, the older I got, the more emotions, because the emotions on the thing are so raw and crazy, that I was able to kind of grow with it as well. Yeah,
I think it's off-putting almost on purpose in some ways. What do
you mean off-putting? I don't know if she's trying. Go on, I guess.
Well, I don't think she's trying to hook the largest possible audience with this album. She's got the rocking chair with the gun on the cover, and then she's suckling a pig on the back cover. Yeah. And I mean, I would argue that like, there's a lot of catchy songs in this album, actually, but Beauty Queen is not one of them. And to start the album with a song that, first of all, it starts with, like, 10 seconds of silence.
Yeah, right. I was like, wait.
So you never know if your, like, device is working.
Right.
Yeah.
And then that song is like a minute of stuff, and then it goes into Horses, which is actually kind of a structured song with a hook and everything. I don't know if it's the catchiest song to start an album either.
No.
But certainly Beauty Queen is not like, hey everybody, you're in for a great time.
No, it lets you know it's like a transition space.
Right.
It's
we're
going somewhere here.
Statement of intent, if you will.
Okay. Yeah, I will.
Yeah, you're going into this, like...
But I still think she wants you to enjoy her music. When you say it's off-putting, I disagree with that sentiment.
I think she's okay if she puts off some people with this album. She's not going for... I don't think she's going for mass success. She's going for deep self-exploration, and whoever comes along, is my feeling.
Yeah, which... is fantastic. I think that thing, you're not to be intentionally off-putting, but also to be yourself and do something that comes from something you're deep inside versus what Mariah Carey's up to.
Yeah, I think with this
you
album,
mean pop brilliance?
No shade to Mariah Carey. Just saying.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Does this album require you to really know all the lyrics of all the songs and really listen to the lyrics?
So I would say, I'm going to answer and then you answer. Mm-hmm. I would say you got two choices. Mm-hmm. You can either sort of let the lyrics sort of glance off of you and like they're just happening and you're not listening to them very carefully.
Right.
Or you can dive in deep and like join the conspiracy with what the hell does all this mean, because they're pretty nuanced and layered. Some rock critics wrote this album off initially because they thought that the lyrics were too...
obtuse?
Yeah, they were just a little too weird and dumb, which is what a lot of them thought. Mm-hmm. But, I don't know. To me, I don't think I've ever disliked something because of lyrics I couldn't figure out.
No, yeah, I don't think... But, well...
I don't think Maxwell's Silver Hammer is the greatest lyrical song, but I like the Beatles.
Sure.
I'm just saying, like, I don't think I would ever knock anything for bad lyrics, even if I did think they were bad lyrics. I just think I don't know what she's getting at a lot of the time, but so what? That could be
I would push
my
back
deal.
on that. Yeah, that it's not your... As a dude, like, maybe it's not... Like, this album is so rooted in her own discovery of, breaking out of all the the men in her life that have kind of defined where she's going and what she's doing with the boyfriend producer and the preacher father, and like all of these structures have been blown away. Mm-hmm. That it's not for everybody to own that story as you're going along the album, and so some of those like things can be kind of hard to stomach, or not stomach. That's a hard to get to, I think. Sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I have never felt unwelcome listening to a Tori Amos album by myself, but I have definitely been unwelcome discussing Tori Amos with women. Like
some women have said you can't talk to Tori Amos to us, or what do you mean?
Are you talking Tori Amos to me? Is that what... no, it's more like, it's not really for you at all.
Okay.
Kind of a thing. And she has said, like, straight men can't handle my live performances recently.
Oh, really?
Because they're too aggressive for them. And I get that. I mean, I get that she's a very, almost like a goddess kind of a figure to a lot of women.
I used to have a joke that, like, Perry Farrell and Tori Amos, if they weren't musicians, what would they do? Can you imagine Tori Amos checking you out at the grocery store? It's like, how does that even work?
I hope you enjoy the spring corn.
It's like there's some people are just so eccentric. It's like, oh, they could only do that job,
Right.
And
Like if David Bowie worked on like as a
car.
flight attendant.
You're a mechanic. If David Bowie was your mechanic,
So when I moved to college, it was like the summer before college, I went to visit, a friend that was already in college, and he said, "Oh, you got to meet this guy." Go to his apartment. He has Tori Amos posters everywhere.
Yeah.
We were very much in love for 4 years. Like it was, and all it took was the Tori Amos posters on his wall.
oh yeah, that's all it
And-
took.
Did he
Man,
turn out to be gay?
No.
Okay.
If I could
So
invent
they-
a time machine, I'm gonna go back and tell college Gary, get some Tori Amos
Big
posters.
ones. Big
Yeah.
ones. So, yeah.
No, I knew of Tori Amos through two people. One of them was my high school best friend, Derek.
What though? Go on. I don't mean to take your story, but I got another story.
I'll be almost done.
Okay.
One was my high school best friend, Derek, who was really into a lot of female artists. He loved Sarah McLachlan. He loved Tori Amos. He loved the Sundays, Natalie Merchant. Like, that was just the kind of music he liked to listen to. He was not gay. He was not, like, super
Did he go to Lilith
feminist.
Fair?
Well, I went to Lilith Fair more than he did.
Oh, okay.
But actually, he and I made a joke that we invented Lilith Fair because we liked all that music so much. We were like, we need to get the
Look at
Women
that.
of
Just another
Awesomeness
man
tour.
trying to take credit
Oh
from
my
a woman.
God.
Sarah McLachlan invented Lilith Fair.
Yeah, in real life, but we did it pretend.
Oh, okay.
That would be cool if there was a festival that was like Lollapalooza that had all the women artists that we liked, we said. And then it happened. Anyway, where was I? So he had this album, like the first day that it came out, he had this CD, and he was really into her early stuff and everything. So I learned about her from a guy, first of all. But then another person that I knew was Sarah, who was... in the same dorm with friend of the show, Alicia Spiegel, and she was so into her that she felt like maybe I shouldn't, I wasn't welcome in that world. I got that vibe. But she also told me that I was gay and I needed to admit it to myself, so she had a lot of stuff going on.
She had her own thing.
What was coming up for you there?
I was just going to say, I do, a memory came in where I don't even remember what the guy's name was in college now, but I remember I was in a car with him, and he was like, he put in a Tori Amos tape, and he was like, yeah, I like Tori Amos. He was kind of like,
Get off my back.
yeah, and I was like, and I didn't even say anything. I was just like, yeah, that's cool. I wasn't judging anything.
It's funny because I feel like that is a sign of how she was more of a trendsetter and a rule breaker and kind of knocking down some walls. Because... I mean, she was writing and singing about her rape in a time when really nobody did that.
No,
Nobody
did that. No,
Nobody did
no.
that. Yeah.
And it because of fear of being stigmatized, like you'd be like desexualized or less marketable or whatever for talking about having been sexually assaulted. Now we live in a world where lots of people are feeling more comfortable to say that in public, which is
it's
still
a shame
happening.
that so many
and
people have their story to share.
Right.
That's the real shame.
right.
That's Gary's.
Well, if you think about a world where if you do come out with it, like she probably had to deal with a lot of crap because she came out with that, right? And she had to be this really strong person in order to deal with that, and also be strong enough to say, I don't care if I'm the rape artist.
Yeah.
In a way, like, if some people are going to dismiss me as being a niche because I deal with this topic, which is where we were at that point, F you.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, like she puts it out there, and as is coming out, everywhere in the news, and that's we're all learning now. Like most of us women have dealt with similar situations, and yeah, that was for so many people. I think that was such that song, that album, that time, and then so you're talking about her with a gun on the cover of Boys for Pele.
Right.
That's a reference to the song "Me and a Gun"
Right.
in the first album. So then later she's got the gun, she's holding it, and has this face of
Yeah.
protecting my home here. She's standing there with it. But anyway,
What's your favorite song on the album?
that moves around. Right now, my favorite song, because it kind of every couple of years it kind of shifts and changes. Right now is "Hey Jupiter."
Yeah, I like that.
Oh yeah, that's a good
That's
one.
an amazing. Yeah. The lyric where she says, where she's like, "I'm trying not to move. It's just your ghost passing through."
Oh yeah.
Such a great way, I think, of like when you remember someone or
Oh,
remember
right,
a moment.
yeah. I try to. I didn't listen to Boys for Pele back in '96. My younger sister had it. I remember enjoying Under the Pink a lot, but I didn't really listen to Boys for Pele. And I think it is because most of the songs probably are just her guitar and her piano and her. And I definitely
Under the Pink.
No, for Boys for Pele is her piano.
This album has like all kinds of crazy intros.
Well, I think you got Professional Widow and Caught a Light Sneeze. Is that, yeah.
That's not a piano.
No.
That's a harpsichord.
Right.
Have you ever seen her in concert play this song?
No.
So she plays it straddling a piano bench, and she's got one hand on the piano, one hand on the harpsichord.
Oh,
and she's
yeah.
playing them together. So it's pretty badass.
That is pretty badass.
But, I mean, there are 18 tracks, and I would say the majority of them are her and her piano. No? 50-50? We're gonna go 9?
I mean,
right.
The harpsichord is the defining thing of this album.
I would say this is a
set.
harpsichord album more
Right.
than anything else. Like, she turns the harpsichord into kind of her electric guitar of this album, where it kind of rocks.
This album spins off a lot of dance remixes as well.
Yeah,
They
that was
pick
the
up a
only
lot of-
deluxe album was the only one that's available online now.
I think it grows on you. I think there's stuff on this album that is really awesome. Like, I really like a lot. I do think that it is overindulgent. So the one I listened to is 18 tracks. That's where it came out.
Yeah,
that's the
that's
original
18
thing.
track, yeah.
I would say starting around Not the Red Baron until Twinkle, like those last few tracks, those aren't as strong as the first, like... 2 through 11 tracks. So it's like she wasn't like, hey, these are B-sides. It's just like everything went on the album. And I feel like the weaker ones are towards the end. And so it gets a little...
story arc. And the story arc is this woman this character who's full of rage and full of clarity and realizing that she's shaking shit up. And then it moves through, all this stuff. And then in the end, it really chills out. And at the end, she's more reflective and she's looking back on the characters that she's dealt with. And so it does that. And there are 3 or 4 songs that were supposed to be in this album that never made it. And she would always talk about, every time I see her in concert, she will, say how these songs were supposed to be there. They just didn't want to be on that album. So It is curated.
It's certainly the personal vision of one person. Like, she had all these people, musicians... she was the producer, she was the writer, singer, everything, and she just basically created this whole thing. I guess it was funny because we were talking about cassettes and CDs. It was supposed to exist on 2 LPs where there were 4 sides, and then these little minute-long intro things was like the beginning to each of the 4 sides of the album. I just personally... to me, my favorite Tori Amos songs coming into this would be like beautiful ballads. So I feel like one of those could exist in that 4th side, but I'm not into any of those. But that's just my personal.
There's
taste.
a song called "Cooling" that she plays. It was supposed to be on this album, and it's my number 1 favorite Tori Amos song of all.
Cooling.
Cooling.
I don't know that at all. I'm gonna write that down right here.
So it's in the deluxe version. She does put it with these songs. But
oh wait, I probably have it right here then. No.
Yeah, I don't think it's on the one deluxe that's available.
Is there more than one deluxe? Oh,
it's the one that was re-released.
It was on To Venus and Back.
It's a B-side.
So this little song, it's probably... She's one of my best friends of all the songs. And she just didn't want to be on any of the records. She was supposed to be on Pele, and then she told me to fuck off, and then
See, this woman couldn't be anything but a musician, you know?
No.
Oh, I know. Every time she gets interviewed, it's like, yeah,
Right.
you're an
It's
artist.
right. You're not a CPA, you know, so...
This is sort of my goodbye.
Yeah, this song has some great, just incredible lyrics of.
Yeah, well, I will give that a listen.
Yeah, it's good.
No, I definitely think this album makes me reevaluate my relationship with Tori Amos, where I felt like I had a lot of singles that I was sort of picked out of certain albums that I liked a lot, but I never really did a deep dive on some of the albums and really listened to them over and over again. And I do think I would like her more the more I listened to her, but I did feel like there was a little bit of that, I'm not supposed to be into her, like I'm not allowed to. I don't know if you ever felt that.
No. Again, white male. I feel like I can do anything I want.
Right.
Right.
Well, that's true. That's what society tells
Right.
us, right?
Exactly.
It became a punchline. I mean, she totally became a punchline early 2000s, late, at that time period. I worked in a record store then. I was around music all the time, arguing this point all the time with my punk red hair and nose ring and Doc Martens and all that stuff. I would argue that Tori Amos and Sarah McLachlan are nothing alike. And you could really get me going if you wanted to have that argument. But that time she kind of becomes this symbol of crazy lady, like, singing crazy breakup songs.
But don't you think that's... I think... I mean, I don't want to get too
we shouldn't.
about this.
Yeah.
But I would say I think that's a way to make any powerful woman less powerful, as you like stigmatize or categorize or make a joke out of it, that sort of a thing. That's just an indication of how powerful a figure she became was to, that it became a punchline in a way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the interviews with her around this time, they're all painting this person's obsessed with fairies and all these crazy quotes about just completely trippy stuff that she becomes, what is it, the manic pixie
Dream
girl.
Yeah, she's not that.
She's not that, but yeah, she's in the. I feel like she was painted that way
Well, I mean,
those
she didn't do
articles.
herself any favors in the press. She was like, "Hey, Lucifer," is like every time she talks about that, it's like, "Well, I did a bunch of hallucinogens and I met the devil himself, and then I wrote this song." So, I mean, she wasn't trying not to be painted that way.
Yeah.
I just think she didn't care. Like this album, people would be like, "Oh, the lyrics are kind of inscrutable," and she's like, "Yeah, okay, whatever." Like, I'm not trying to make the most accessible lyrics in an album. That's not my goal. And I think she's happy with her work, whereas a lot of people, maybe if they were trying to make the most accessible or whatever album, they'd look back on me like, ugh, can't believe I did that. I have to ask you, because this is not 90s, but I was huge into this song a few years ago or 10 years ago or whatever.
Is this not a Boys for Pele song?
Yeah.
This album.
Yeah, so I think this album's really great. And I think this song is, like, it's just like a really great pop song. So she's mellowed out a little bit, right?
She's singing about her. The song is about her niece that has become a prostitute, and she's looking. I have to say, like, she's mellowed, but the lyrics.
Lyrically, not.
Lyrically, there's
sonically, maybe.
Maybe, sure, yeah. I mean, she married her sound engineer. Their house, they have a big operation there that lots of other artists go to. And so yeah, it gets a little more polished.
Right. No, lyrically, this song is not mellow.
Yeah.
If you listen to it. But there's something a little playful about the hook and everything of this that's sort of like, I don't think the Boys for Pele Tori would be cool with this.
Yeah.
This wouldn't exist on Boys for Pele.
No. But I think
you don't
they're all
want to-
singular. They're not supposed to exist.
I mean, you don't want the artist to get stagnant, so I think that's...
And that definitely is not the case with her. I
Right.
think she has still grown and changed over the years. And definitely, she changed, like, if you think about 92, 94, 96, I always kind of thought of Boys for Pele Pele as being like, kind of like way far away from those first two albums, but they were super close chronologically. But that was definitely a different era that she kicked off with that and the Choir Girl Hotel and Venus and Back. That was sort of a chapter in the late 90s. 10,000 Oceans is one of my favorite songs ever. That's a good song,
yeah. But I feel that's her weakest kind of...
Dip?
Yeah, is post Boys for Pele for a minute. And then when she has the album where she covers all the songs written by men.
Yeah.
That's like Eminem's song and stuff like that. Kind of comes back.
I read an interview with her recently where she was talking about how, she's in her 50s now, and it's like there's not a feminine sort of archetype that she fits into, whereas like there's so many 50-year and 60-year-old men that are like rock and roll people it's fine that they're that age, but like for her, it's like she needs to be like 10 years older, and then she's like the grandma. But like it's like there's anyway. She's still pretty provocative.
To see her, it'd be amazing to see her bring that sexuality to being 55 and try to. That'd be kind of cool.
Yeah. So
she has plenty of albums and released in the 90s, so Amanda will have to have you back to talk about it.
Well, you were vacillating between this and Little Earthquakes, so maybe we have to do a Little Earthquakes episode in the future. But I don't want to pin you down.
No,
sure
you
like
definitely.
You
don't have to be just the Tori Amos expert.
I don't know. All my life has been leading to this moment,
okay.
So we're good.
But I think we're at the point where we want to go and rate Boys for Pele, right? Maybe rate it.
Yeah, so we have our rating system. It's 4 stars is well-deserved classic status. 3 stars is, it holds up pretty well.
It's really good.
It's not
a
bad thing at all. Number 2 stars is like, well, that's why I haven't listened to Boys for Pele in a while. And 1 star is like, well, I was young.
I didn't know any better.
I didn't know any better.
Stupid.
This is just what happened.
Exactly.
What I listened to, etc. Let's let our guest go first.
Okay.
Boys for Pele.
3.5.
3.5.
Yeah.
Wow, that's
It's
rough.
always tricky when you're rating albums of the artists against their other albums, because it's like, well, I'm going to give Boys for Pele 3 stars. 3 stars.
I would also give it 3 stars.
Yeah.
But I might have given it...
With an asterisk.
I might have given it 2 stars, like, a week ago.
Oh, okay.
And I was really forcing myself to listen to the whole album, and I tried to listen to it with headphones on, too.
Yeah.
And the more I listened to it, the more... Actually, a lot of these are quite catchy. It's not that inaccessible.
No.
Do you watch the videos?
I would like to.
It's not that in excess.
The video for this song is incredible. I mean, it's really neat video work, and she worked with the same director for her music videos for most of her early career.
Oh.
And so it was Cindy Palermo, I think is her name.
Yeah, so, yeah, I would only say, like, I did play this for my children, and it takes more than 30 seconds to listen to Caudalite Sneeze to grab the youth.
Oh, well, yeah.
They're like, what is this? All right, we have to take a break.
We're going to take a break. We're going to come back and talk about Welcome to the Dollhouse from Todd Solondz.
We'll be right back.
Yes. Welcome back to My So-Called Podcast. I'm Gary Linton.
And I'm still Eric Spiegel.
And we're still joined by...
Amanda Clark.
Thanks, Amanda, for sticking around for the second half. We're going to talk about...
I mean, a lot of people leave. Let's be honest.
Exactly. We're going to talk about Welcome to Dollhouse. But first, Eric, you're going to give the top 10 movies that were playing when Welcome to the Dollhouse was at the Sundance Film Festival.
Yeah, well, Welcome to the Dollhouse was at the Sundance Film Festival, and Boys for Pele was at Sam Goody.
Yep.
Musicland.
That's what was going on back in January '96. We were all coming off of that Christmas high, and we needed
maybe I
Tori
went to
Amos.
see a movie at the multiplex, and then I went to Blockbuster Music afterwards.
Yeah.
And I wanted to see. And I was like, I want to listen to this Boys for Pele
they were
before
like, You came to the right store.
to the right
Buster.
store. They will open that thing up and let you listen to it.
They would.
Anyway, one of the movies you could have seen was Father of the Bride 2, which was number 10 at the box office. Number 9 was Biodome, opening at number 9. Biodome. The previously mentioned Waiting to Exhale was number 8. Number 7, Heat. The Michael Mann 3-hour thriller.
Oh, yeah.
With
Robert De Niro and
Al Pacino. And Val Kilmer.
Oh, yeah.
Natalie Portman. A young supporting role. And L.A.
L.A. is a character.
Is a character in that
real
movie, if you
character.
ask me, Gary. Number 6 was Jumanji, which was the movie that my friend previously mentioned on the show, Derek, the Tori fan. We went to the theater to see Heat. That was sold out. We were not deterred. We're still going to go see a movie, so we went to see Jumanji.
I just watched the sequel to Jumanji. It's okay.
Yeah.
It's fine.
21 years, 23 years later.
Yeah.
Jumanji 2,
Exactly.
starring The Rock.
Video game.
I heard that's fun.
It was, yeah, you know what? It is. It's like we got 4 charismatic stars, and we just kind of watch them run around in the jungle. It's like...
Welcome to it.
Exactly.
Number 5, Toy Story, the first computer-generated movie. Number 4, Grumpier Old Men, the first sequel with Walter Matthau in it for decades. Number 3, An Eye for an Eye. And I'm going to say that this was Ashley Judd and Ewan McGregor.
Right.
Opening in number 3. And they were like, well, we made more money than Biodome. Number 2.
That's what that was on the poster.
More money than Biodome, says the box office. Number 2, Don't Be a Menace to South Central.
While drinking your juice in the hood.
While drinking your juice in the hood. That's a Miramax joint at number 2. And number 1, third week at the box office, third week at number 1, 12 Monkeys.
Oh, yeah.
So good.
Yeah, 12 Monkeys is pretty good. That's a friend of the show, Alicia Spiegel, is kind of... She said she wanted to come on.
She's
and
angling
that.
to be on the Monkeys episode, yeah. That's an interesting movie because...
We'll talk about it later.
Terry Gilliam, he was also never angling for the top of the box office.
That is a Terry Gilliam movie. Oh,
Yeah.
God, yeah.
So we're going to talk about Welcome to Dollhouse, though. I'm going to start out and say, Amanda, that Welcome to Dollhouse is such a 1996 movie, well, filmed in 95, but it's so of its time that some of the humor derives from the way they treat the character, and either that's just not funny anymore, or maybe it was just never funny at the time. I guess basically this either or boy. I'm always bad at either ors. That's a going theme of the podcast.
Honestly, that's one of your best.
Okay. I guess really though, what do you think of Welcome to the Dollhouse?
No, now you just...
Exactly.
Either it was of its time,
Yeah.
or
It's
it was
timeless.
never good.
Oh, yeah.
I guess you have to add in another or, which is you
Right.
think you like it.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
I mean, I agree that it's not the same watching it now as it was
Yep.
then, but I can never let go of how it felt to watch it the first time.
Sure.
I feel like watching it was one of those movies that like lodged itself. And
Did you go see it right?
I feel like I watched it at home. Like on a
Okay,
DVD. Yeah.
I went to this.
Where did you live at the time?
I lived in a soybean field. I lived in a really tiny town in West Tennessee, so movies didn't come. We really didn't have a movie theater.
Were there any movies in the soybean field at all?
Joking. No, so we didn't have a movie theater, and so for my high school life, and so I had to get things, videotapes, and once it came, so we were kind of behind.
So a few years
But
later.
but you were aware of it, and you went and rented it.
and it's among the cool art kids of my group of friends, and who were also listening to Tori Amos. When a movie like that came out, we all had it to watch immediately.
Yeah. I went and saw it at the theater, and I remember liking it very much at that time. And I guess my either or comes from watching it this time. As a parent, I'm like, no, those kids should not be treating each other that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I have a
Go on.
middle schooler.
Yes.
And I've kind of gone back and forth between watching this with him now.
Oh.
Because he does sort of tell me that middle school is no good.
Well, yeah, I think that's the thing. This is an accurate portrayal of middle school, and
They don't pull any punches about how dysfunctional the communication and the behavior and the social stuff
it's
is.
amped up a little bit, I think,
For comedy.
For the comedy, yeah, but it's not enough, maybe.
I don't know if it is amped up.
Oh, yeah.
think
I'm
of it as
not
much of a
sure
comedy.
that it
Like-
actually is.
You don't think of it as a comedy?
Yeah.
There's some parts of it
just so
that
dark, sure.
are...
It's
Yeah.
It's dark comedy, but it's not dark comedy like Heathers.
no.
In the sense that the main character is above it all. The main character in this is subject to just all the horribleness.
She gets all
Nothing
the
she can
abuse.
do about it.
Right.
And it's not any better at home than it is at school.
No, yeah,
but just in
that's-
a different way. Oh, it's rough.
Right.
It's
And
a rough slog.
I was
the
able
first
to-
30 minutes, I almost wanted to just turn it off.
Yeah, same
I was
thing.
like, this is just
I don't think I can watch
unpleasant.
this.
Yeah.
And I remember seeing it in the theater, and I was like the little the sister in the tutu dancing in the front. That was a part that cracked me up back in the day. I thought that was hilarious, and I still enjoyed it this time. But everything that was going on with Dawn, where it was just like, oh man, no. Mm-hmm. Like when she comes up to she tries to defend the one boy that's getting beat up. And the one boy is like, leave me alone, wiener dog. It's like, why? No.
I know. Well, the thing that pushed me over the edge is how cruel all of her teachers are to
Yes.
her, too. Like, they don't see that she is, like, the victim, and then they victimize her in front of everybody. Sometimes just for trying to get their attention when she's being victimized.
Being right. Yeah.
It's hard to watch. But I watched this in 2 chapters. I watched the first 30, 40 minutes, and then I was sleepy.
It's been 20 years, folks.
And then,
Oh, yeah. Okay.
so I came back to it later, and I watched the second half, and I really felt like whenever the bully took her to the abandoned lot with the mattress and all of that, I was like, I'm done with this movie. But that's where
did you not
really
remember?
No.
Oh,
well,
see, 'cause
never,
that's where I
no, I
remember
never
that was-
watched this movie.
Oh, you never saw
before.
this before?
I never watched this movie before.
Oh.
I had seen Happiness,
Okay.
but Happiness was such a rough go
Yeah.
for me.
Happiness. I don't.
Which I
never
think
watched Happiness again.
it's hard to watch again.
I can't remember that, and now I'm like, but I
That's,
remember not wanting to watch it. You're like
yeah.
reminding me that there's some movie I've
It's
like,
his second
blocked
movie.
out.
And
The second movie is this mixed with sort of a Paul Thomas Anderson movie where there's just like a lot of horribly dysphoric people, some of who are rapists, some of who aren't.
Yeah.
Sounds vaguely. I don't know.
Anyway, yeah. So at that point, though, whenever her bully starts to be more of a human character,
Yes.
then I was like, okay, whew,
Right.
I'm back on board with this
that's
movie.
when it
It's a
gets,
real
a
movie
little,
again. It's not just like hyperbole of the worst experience in the history of the universe, And that's where just a little bit of nuance happens in the movie, where it's like, okay, some people might think of her as horrible and this bully as horrible, but like there is, if you stop and look at them a little while, you realize there's more going on there.
Right.
And that's where I feel like it actually is a work of art.
That's where the soul comes in at that point. But then when the sister gets kidnapped, that's
it kind of goes off the rails narratively.
Yeah, and I think one part that really did not work for me is so the mom gets the phone call. They're at the table, and she's like, her tutu was found in Times Square, and it's like that's almost tried to be played for a laugh at that point. The mom is so distraught, and it's like, no, she should be that distraught. This is not a laugh moment.
It's like
I don't know.
Home Alone, like like children being abandoned is funny and
I didn't know what to make of that. It almost seemed like it was happening in a different movie.
Right. It's
the sister getting kidnapped. It almost seemed like it almost could have been when she goes when Dawn goes to Times Square to look for her, and then she has the fantasy of rescuing her.
That was a good part.
I almost feel like when she wakes up, it should be before she was kidnapped. Like, it could be before she decides to not give her the note.
Oh,
the whole thing was a fantasy.
Oh, really?
That would be a little more realistic, because the way it ends up is like, yeah, our neighbor's a pedophile, whatever.
Right. Well, not even, though, because it says he didn't do anything.
He's an attempted pedophile.
Right, sure.
He kept underneath the shuffleboard court.
Right.
But she's fine, because she had all the McDonald's she wanted.
See, and that's the humor. And then I also liked Dawn's theme, the when she gets angry at the first couple of scenes.
Yeah.
So I still enjoyed that moment.
Well, I think Heather Matazzaro is amazing in the movie.
Yeah, she's great. And it really is a shame. People... he made a sequel, Wiener Dog, and Greta Gerwig plays Dawn.
Like all grown up?
Yep.
Or?
Yep. And but Heather what's her last name?
Mezzarato?
I want to say Maserati.
Yeah.
I think that's it.
My Maserati does 195. She's still an actress, so she could have been in it. She could have played it again.
Yeah.
And apparently...
But he had everybody's... everybody was played by different characters, though.
Well, I don't think there's much of the family. Although the family, the older brother, is in Palindromes. It's Mark Wiener is a character in Palindromes. So,
did you ever see any of his other movies? Storytelling?
No, I gave up on him after Happiness. Happiness was so... I was like, oh, I'm done with you. I really liked Welcome to the Dollhouse, and I went and saw Happiness again because I was like, oh, yeah. But then I was like, oh, no.
Oh, that's interesting. I felt the opposite. I felt like Happiness was like a 4-star excellent movie that I didn't want to watch again.
Oh.
But I thought it was a masterpiece. That's where Philip Seymour Hoffman came from, basically. That's where he became...
Right, he became very big.
Huge because of
that. And his
that.
performance he's just a really gross character in that, so...
Yeah.
That was...
well, everybody is.
Yeah.
That's the magic and the horribleness of this director, Todd Solondz. It's like he's just so down about humanity.
Yeah, some things are just
in every way,
right. And I think that's running through Welcome to the Dollhouse, where it's like, yeah, everything's just really horrible. And I think you can say that it's not funny, but I think there are some laughs to be had in Welcome to the Dollhouse.
Yeah, I mean, what's the Steve Rogers?
Yeah,
the singer. That part where he's looking at all the headshots of himself with Dawn, and he tolerates Dawn because she's so into him. Like, that's what he wants. And he's like, look at all these pictures. And so-and-so took these pictures.
Yeah, I dated her for a little bit.
Did you date her? Yeah, for 3 days.
It was worth it.
I think it was worth it, don't you? Yeah, and that stuff's good. I'll tell you the other thing I kind of responded to was about the midway point of this movie, Dawn stops being a doormat.
Yeah.
And stops just accepting it.
Is that when she, that's before is when she does the spitball back.
She gets in trouble for that,
yeah.
though. But it starts to work for her a little bit when she starts fighting back.
Right.
Like, in that scene where she's looking at pictures and her brother comes in.
And
he's
says,
like, get out. And she's like, no.
Right.
And her mom's like, you need to tear down your clubhouse. And she's like, no.
Right.
And so it's a little bit of a adjustment for her. She totally doesn't have the world figured out. Like, she has this boyfriend that she could totally be boyfriend and girlfriend with, but she's like, I'm really into Steve Rogers.
Right.
He's in high school. Like, she doesn't get that.
Right.
But she definitely has started to realize she can stand up for herself. She doesn't have to put up with it. And sometimes it totally goes terribly, and sometimes it works out for her. But, like, I don't know. I thought that was pretty good. And definitely just the idea of, like, how the parents could have this 20th anniversary party.
Yeah.
And it's so much about how they're so great and their family's so great. And so they're so disconnected from how unhappy their daughter is.
Well, yeah, they
just don't give a
her
crap.
Unhappy. Yeah,
yeah, they're horribly cruel to her.
It's funny though. I think you can. So the mom's overreaction.
The chocolate cake scene.
Yeah. Well, I think the funny was like when she's like, she takes her dad the food and he's in bed. And he's like, well, you still have us. And he's like, oh. Like they have so much for the little daughter. There's,
No, the meanest thing is the mom brings the chocolate cake for everything and then she hands it to Dawn. And when Dawn's to reach for it, she's like, no.
Right.
Because you're not into our party that
she
we're
won't
having.
Take down
the special people club.
Yeah.
Do you know what that means?
Oh, so yeah, I don't know. Could you recommend this to anyone?
Did I?
Could you?
Oh, I don't think so.
It's a specimen.
You'd really have to know who you were talking
yeah, like
to.
it's some kind of like. There had to be a comparison. There needs to be a comparative movie for now.
Yeah, I
Maybe
mean, again,
that.
there's still some parts. There's some good parts on it though, because like when the little girl goes to comb her hair, and she's like, "Were you playing with my doll?" The doll's head falls off. She's like, "No." See, there's some good moments, but and then I've always loved her dancing on the car. I wish she's got those arms going for the welcome to the Dollhouse. Still enjoyed that. Mm-hmm. So,
yeah.
My favorite line is the mom after the spitball thing when she tells her mom, "I was just standing up for myself," and her mom says, "Who told you to stand up for yourself?"
Oh, right.
Like
yeah.
that's
Yeah.
Right. I think that.
I guess that's the thing for me. Watching it, I know that you're saying like these kids are being so cruel to each other. For me, it's like, how could the parents be this cruel to a child?
The adults, all the adults are cruel.
And it could be sort of expressionistic in the sense of like her younger daughter's like a beautiful young lady and she's not very attractive, and definitely it happens that adults are nicer to cute kids than they are to kids that aren't cute. And
but
so
that's not
just
fair. That's the whole thing. Is our middle school years were all awkward.
Yeah,
and that's when that parents need to love you the most.
Right.
Oh, and that's the point. Like the kids can't. They don't know any better. They are what they are, and the parents.
Well, and I guess that's
should
kind
know.
of. It's not fully on entertaining.
No,
but maybe does it have a message that you don't get from other things?
Right.
Like, everybody knows middle school is terrible, but like this movie really shows you how terrible it is.
does.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like whenever she answers the phone, he's like, same time, same place, and I'm really gonna rape you this time.
Yeah, right.
And then the mom's like, who's that? Is he a nice boy? And she's like,
yeah.
yeah. She just shows up and starts undressing by
and
the
it just
dumpsters.
shows like the innocence and like just how in that time period of life things like that are real and not real, and gosh, and how they're handling that kind of stuff is how I felt then is
that whole scene where like they kiss and they talk about his mentally challenged brother, and she's like, are you still gonna rape me, or what are we doing here?
Right. What time is it? No, it's too late.
It's too late. We spend too much time talking. I don't have time to rape you.
oh my gosh.
And then he's like, if you tell anybody that you were here with me, I really will.
Yeah, and that's just how some uneducated people would talk. Yeah.
Is it?
I don't know.
God.
That's what I would. Yeah. Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. As a woman, like yes.
Yeah.
These are
how does
experiences
he
that are not abnormal.
feel towards Dawn? What are his emotions towards Dawn?
Toxic masculine. Like he thinks he's supposed to be this way, but he's got this.
Well, he even says that later on, where he's like, "Don't kiss me. I make
the first move." Yeah, but yeah. Well, I think that's where I feel like part of it is kind of brilliant because like
it is kind of brilliant,
perfect, and also horrible, but also kind of sweet.
Right.
It's such a weird mix.
It really is.
That character in Dawn, that relationship to me is like the most problematic, but also interesting. Like he's really walking a fine line there. Like if I had written that and I was going to film it with real children, I would have been like, am I saying that girls want to get raped?
Oh, right.
You know?
Right.
And I don't think that's what he's trying to say, but like, wow, that is tricky stuff.
Again, we talk about it in 1996, it was kind of easier to skate that line than it would be in this day and age, which is for the better.
But we also, earlier talked about Me and a Gun having come out a few years prior to that. The song, which is about her being raped in a car, and like it's very graphic, and then you've got, just to put it starts to become something that's a little more like these are kids, this is happening to kids, or it's on a rock song versus,
right.
It out a little more.
It definitely makes you think about these horrible situations that your kids are in, and I think that the parents in the film are definitely deluding themselves into thinking that like, we do not have to worry about anything about Dawn.
No, right, yeah. That's really horrible. The parents are really bad.
Wouldn't you love to see that now? And Dawn's on her phone and this stuff is happening.
Oh, right.
Through social media. And the parents are...
Right.
Like,
right.
God,
right.
More terrifying.
That's definitely what I thought of whenever she answered the phone and talked to a human on a phone line.
Yeah.
Right. It happens on text now.
Yeah. For someone to say that to someone else, voice is very different than... it's so easy to text it to them and say those kinds of strong words and strong concepts. But there's
yeah.
Oh, poor Gary.
Yeah. I have a middle schooler going, or he's going to go into middle school, and it's like, oh, I just want to protect him.
I know.
Yeah.
It's so hard. And you can't.
Right.
Yeah, that's where I was thinking, like, would it be a kind of an interesting thing to just watch this with my middle schooler and to just, like, talk afterwards? I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Like, because as a parent, one of the things you do is you sort of shelter your kids from stuff.
Yes.
But then they end up just getting it from other sources other than you.
Right.
Right. So... it's tricky. Whereas, I actually come down on the side of, like, I would like to see his response to this.
Oh, right.
Like, because I told him a little bit about it, and his response was, well, people don't, like, outright make fun of those kids. They all pretty much sit together at lunch. Mm-hmm. So they're kind of protected from that because they have each other.
Well,
but I described Dawn Wiener to him, and he was like, oh, yeah, those kids just sit together.
No.
Mm-hmm.
So he knew what I was talking about. Wiener dog.
Yeah, it's kind of funny, too, where she's doing the same thing to her little sister that they do to her.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
She's at the dinner table. She's just
Well,
mouthing.
More so the effeminate boy that's her age that likes her.
Oh, yeah.
She turns on him
Right.
as a power move.
Yeah, that
calls
wasn't
him a
as
faggot
funny.
and stuff.
Yeah.
So she's not perfect.
No, not at all.
No, she's definitely changed by all that.
Right.
Rating
system?
Rating system. What do those stars mean, Gary?
4 stars is a well-deserved classic status. 3 stars is it's a good movie. I'd recommend it. 2 stars is it's not that good of a movie. I wouldn't recommend it.
So that's why I haven't watched Welcome to the Dollhouse in a while.
And then 1 star is we didn't know any better. So we were young. We thought it was a good movie, but it was a bad movie.
We were young.
We didn't
were
know.
like, this is great.
Right.
But we weren't right about that.
No, we were wrong. So,
Amanda?
what would you give Welcome to the Dollhouse?
As a grown up,
Yeah.
I would be in that probably 2, 1.5 to 2.
2, yeah.
I would love to read what grown ups said about it then.
At one time, I think I would have gave this a 4-star movie. I that's how much I liked it at one point. But no, I'm going to go 2.5 stars. I think there's some people can enjoy it, and there's some, but yeah, I'm going to go with 2.5. Yeah.
So I would give the second half of this movie 4 stars.
Yeah.
And the first half is a slog. So I'm gonna say 3.
3. Okay.
It ends up being pretty good. And some of the stuff in it is pretty transcendent. That scene with the mattress and the bully and the rape.
Well, yeah, that's really good. But I think you're being too generous on that 4th part, where because you do have the whole kidnapping in that second half, and you're right. So it's like the middle part is great.
Yeah.
But then,
yeah, it's not perfect.
No.
But it's if you go with it, the kidnapping thing is sort of like a John Waters weirdness.
Well, yeah, definitely.
That's thrown in. I'm giving it 3 stars, Gary.
Okay.
It definitely hangs together a lot better than a lot of his other stuff.
I told you.
It's not Happiness.
I thought this was great, so...
We have to revisit Happiness, because I definitely thought that was 4 stars when I saw it. But I just don't want to watch it again.
No, sure.
Well,
Amanda, thanks for being on another episode of My So-Called Podcast. Subscribe to us. We're not a My So-Called Life podcast.
Hey, do you want to plug anything?
I'd love to plug Renegade STL.
Renegade STL. Google it.
.com.
Yeah,
you can do
whatever you want to
throw a
with
link
it.
in there, so yeah.
Yeah, well, check out the show notes. We'd like to thank Don Spiegel for our show theme music.
Yep.
Check us out on Instagram, on Facebook, on Twitter, and we'll come back at you
In 2 weeks.
in 2 weeks for another episode of My So-Called Podcast.
Bye.
Bye.